Well, that's not a good sight. There's tools everywhere. This gives it away. That's not good. And that joint came apart that's right there in the pivot. And you see there's a grease zerk. Camera may not show this off very well, but how do you get in there, like underneath all this stuff, to grease it? We don't know either, but we got to replace it and hopefully put it full of some sort of good long-lasting grease. So I missed a lot of disassembly, but we're getting to the good part. We have created this lovely setup down low. Pin out. Luckily the pin has a hole in it, and CA 550 chain links are fairly strong to go through the hole. Then when Dad welded up this little loop guy to go on the end of the slide hammer. And we're still where we were-ish.
Yeah, we came up a little bit and then we stopped.
I made the mistake of sliding the hammer down, or using a hammer to push the pin down to see if we get it to move in general. And then I tried to move it back up with an alignment only punch. Well, I was doing alignment things and still managed to snap it. Anything that looks better, maybe? Not much.
No.
I don't think we were sticking up that far before.
I think we're a little bit higher.
Yeah, we're past.
But I don't know if what the hole's like that's down in there, whether it's a kind of a slotted hole, whether it's a...
I mean, whether there are pins worn.
Yeah.
It's strong, it's mighty, and it's yellow. We got the skid steer giving us a small hand, thanks to the holes in the forks, the adjustability of the slide hammer. And, well, apparently this isn't enough to get it out of there, but finally, the darkness, maybe you can see the hole there in the pin. We've moved it that much. Now, it's not a lot, but we're making progress. Go this side.
Okay.
I don't know, we'll mix it up. Bend that metal again.
Alright. Ready?
Yeah. Woo! That's the action we wanted.
Old man still has a few swings left in the arms.
It's not, I mean, it's rusty, but there's...
Not grooved.
Not grooved.
Alright.
Well, that's how much bend, as we just barely had that out the top, and then that doesn't even touch. So this fork bent just a few inches. Now to see whether we have the right stuff to pull the hitch out. That's not good. Yeah, I didn't press the button to show pulling the tongue out, but once the pins were out, I just pulled it out by hand. See, now I wish they would have had the thought. See, there's a nut welded in the box. Why didn't they do something like that to the top side? So the mower is precariously balanced here on the stump, the block of wood, 2 roll-around jacks. And, well, we're racking up the parts list. We, the yoke on that side of the slip clutch isn't fantastic. So I went through all this trouble to get the tongue off. Guess I'll try to get a new one of those. And we're gonna find out just how much clearance there is between the slip clutch and the framing up there. Whether or not we've gotta move this whole gearbox mess out of the way, which actually won't be too bad. All we gotta do is take the lower drive off for the lower roller. Everything else will flex enough to hopefully give us enough room. And there's a special sort of something bolt that holds this together that I don't understand yet. Now that's what holds things on the end of the gearbox. The nut's way low, but it's just kind of a set screw with a jam nut. Now this is an interesting moment. We got to take this whole gearbox mess back. I took the lower drive for the conditioning rolls loose, and there's 4 bolts here. Unless I missed one, I took them all out and nothing has moved. Now my fingers are all greasy, but while the camera is stuck here sideways, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. You're going to see it sideways, obviously. There was a bolt hidden in the front of this gearbox, way down there in the darkness. But hopefully now, I've got enough play somehow to get that off up there. I hope. The slip clutch assembly is out. It took some jockeying. We can really see, if we hadn't, by we, I guess me, since I've been using this the most, if it hadn't taken out that part of it, it even looks like it's spread too. That's not good. You might not be able to see it on camera, but the 2 halves of the yoke are spread. That's definitely not good. I had to get the gearbox loose a little bit. You can see that. So what a joy. Ugh. Lovely. So this piece is almost $300 plus the other yoke, the cross, and we're putting a new bearing in out front. Now I'm not going to show all of this. And it's just a standard lock collar. Like I said in many videos, I just like fix-it videos. This is another one of them special set screws. So that should slide off. There's a spacer here, the lock collar. Pull that off. We're putting that on new because we have it all apart right now. Don't want to do it later. It's getting dark. I plan on working on this after dark, and of course we are in the big barn right now. So who knows how much we're going to see. Won't see much more probably, unfortunately. We'll see it back together running tomorrow, unless I don't get it fixed tonight. Big things to remember. We got to measure the compression of the springs, although if the plate between the new and the old one are the same thickness, the ends of the bolts just barely, like they come flush with the plate there. So that's delightful. We got a lot of strange bolts to put back in here and there. I'm going to replace this chain because it's loose. They say it's number 40 roller, but for some reason it strikes me that it might be stainless, but they don't sell a stainless replacement. So that's unfortunate. Other things to look out for. I never realized this greaser just greased a roller that hasn't moved on ours in years. And there was copious amounts of grease and mouse nest that fell out. Let's see, anything else on this fix? Had to take this pulley loose off the side there so I could get the belt off to move that gearbox back. It's going to be a real joy getting it back in there. It's going to take like 10 hands, but I got to get it done. I lost the mowing today, so I lost a day's worth of hay. Good thing it might be dry until next Wednesday. It is Thursday now, so we have a little less than a week, 6 days, and I got to get the rest of first cut round bales punched out. Yeah, that's how far behind things are. And then we finally get to second cut. Well, I guess there's always the beginning of October to keep us going. It's September 8th-ish, I think. I don't know. It's time's flying by, not enough's getting done. I spent some time last night, I don't know, like midnight, putting the slip clutch together. I was surprised when the one new disc that has the yoke on it does not have any paint. That's just a wax coating. And then, you know, this is black. A lot of new parts don't always have color match paint. They just put something on it and they resort to black, just like Henry Ford. Can have any color car you want, as long as it's black. That's how I sold the Model Ts. Now I have these together. These are just finger tight. I know how tight they need to be, but I need to be able to turn this to make things line up. But I don't necessarily need to be able to get it to slide around because there's a bushing in this half. So obviously when you slip it, it keeps it all in line and you don't move things around because this centerpiece floats between the two big metal plates. I don't know how I'm going to film this, but just imagine it's going to be a real titanic struggle and I need to be an octopus to get this all lined up. Well, that's greasy. What do we see? Well, there's the new yoke. Slip clutch is in place on the end of the gearbox. That was a titanic struggle. That took 2 people. Unfortunately, because of the confined space, getting this in here was really not much to film. I didn't know where to put the camera, and on my head we'd be hitting things like the frame. You wouldn't see it anyways. So all the bolts are back in. Bolts here, bolts there, those bolts. There's one bolt hidden way down in there. Pry bar, foot, you need to be an octopus to like wrestle this thing around because it wants to fall forward and it's hard to lift without it wanting to tip. That way, you know, lots of joy. What else? I put the belt back on, but it's not tight because we need it out of the way to get up to put the bolt in the bottom for that. So that's not bad. But now we're going to demonstrate, because we have space, dealing with one of these special set screws. I'll set you guys up right there and move into the camera. So these are 3/4. Hopefully this breaks for us nicely. It turned, and we didn't get that lucky. It didn't take the whole thing with us, so we have a 1/4 inch Allen that fit the last one. And this one is somehow different. Can't be. Well, I have to go back to the set and get something different. It's probably just been a little rounded off there from rubbing things. You can see the nut has had a little bit of a run, and you might not be able to see it from right there. There. See, the nut has had some run-ins that might have rounded off the top a little bit in here. So I got the new one on. I think we all understand the concept of a lock collar. I had to kind of grind the burr off, twist it, take some hammering, push the old one off. The new one came with a block because the old block was worn. And now it's time to put this in there. I'm about to see how well I can wrestle this around myself, because I shouldn't have put that shaft all together, but I did. It's done. Not about to undo it. And we got a little bit sticking out right there. So with a whole lot of He-Man action, there we go. I can get it started in there and still be able to see enough to get that started. Yeah, there's... So note to self, don't put the bearing on if you're replacing it when you do this. Leave it. There we are in the darkness. Okay, lift. Little more, right? Keep wiggling. Okay, maybe I need the hammer. We got really close. Push it in by hand. Only it would have came out this easy. That would have saved hours. Hopefully we're not twisted crooked. Put it in the opposite way before. We might thank ourselves for that.
Might hate herself too. You never.
Well, it's you get a better swing to push it out.
Yeah.
Where'd I lose the nut at?
Get anything else here?
Nope. As long as I can find a little 1/2 inch to tighten this. Really, we're mostly done. Just gotta tighten the sickle drive and put the new reel drive chain on. You know, it took us most of a day to get this apart. Got it back together in about 2 hours.